Butch, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, let's pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we're just so thankful for the blessings of life that you've given us. Father, for the love, the understanding, the peace, the healing, all wonderful things that you share with our world. Father, we ask that you lead and guide us tonight as we look into our discussion. Be with us, Lord, as we work together to vote the way that you would have us vote according to your will, to make the best good of all the people. In Jesus' precious name we pray. Amen.
Join me in prayer. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call this February 13th, 2025 special city council meeting in order. Roll call.
Burgess.
Present.
Higginbotham.
Here.
Martin. Here. Meyer. Here. Mosley. Here. O'Rourke. Here. Fermenter.
Here.
Rodell. We will count him when he gets there.
Yes, he's on his way. All right. Don't have any presentations or announcements. Public comments. Want to come forward?
Is this the right time?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
If you'll sign in there, tell us your name, address.
I signed in earlier.
Oh, yes, sir. Good.
Mr. Mayor, city council members, and chamber members that are in the room, thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Eddie Pennell. I was born and raised in Little Rock, but the last 20 years I made my home in Saline County. The first 5 years was in Benton, and then I wised up in the last 15 years I've been in Bryant. My address is 2705 Magnum Cove in Remington Place subdivision. And I'm proud to tell people my hometown is Bryant, Arkansas. We got great schools, as you know. I believe all the departments of city government are run well. It's a great place to raise a family. And businesses are moving into Bryant. I mean, Chick-fil-A is the envy of all Chick-fil-A in the state of Arkansas. I'm proud to say that we've got a 7 Brew just down the street. Now I don't have to go spend my money for my coffee in Benton. I can spend it here. And the only thing I think that we're lacking here in town is a multi-purpose entertainment center. Not only for music, but other cultural events. We've got Justin Moore just down the road at Poyen. He would fill up whatever venue you build several times a year, I'm sure. And it's not only a great tax revenue, I think, for the city, but think about the hospitality industry, the hotels and restaurants that will benefit from people coming in from Central Arkansas. We've got 500,000 people out there, I think, that could come in here and enjoy whatever we present to them. You can rent the facility out to civic groups, cultural groups, social groups. It can be a moneymaker multiple times every month and just grow and grow and grow. And one big reason I think that we should build this facility here in Bryant is we need to do it before Benton does it. And I'll be happy to vote for this initiative, and I'll tell everyone in my neighborhood and in town that I know to support it. I'm sorry I had to make some notes, but the prevalence is just not working for me like advertising. Thank you.
Thank you. Other public comments? None? We'll move on to new business. Joy?
I've just got 2 points that I wanted to point out to you guys about this resolution. So So we talked about this earlier, you know, this is water and wastewater, bringing back to you guys the request to do a letter of intent. And today, all this does is say we're gonna use Cruz and Stevens to do that, and that we intend to do it. It does not say specifically when, but I wanna do it probably in the third quarter so that everything's wrapped up before the end of the year. And the other thing I did wanna draw your attention to is there's a payback clause, because and also that, like Jack said last week, you know, all these issuances, we always do them for the larger amount than what we actually need, so that if something were to happen, we've got that leeway. But we'll be bringing the specifics back to you guys. But about 3-ish million of this, 1.5 and 1.5, is water and wastewater vehicles and equipment, like we talked about during the budget book process and drafting up the budget for this year. And it's to get Public Works on a similar schedule to the general fund, where we're turning our fleet over every 5 or so years. So, but the payback clause that's in this, I did wanna say that Tim's not here tonight, but he did want me to say to you guys that we're gonna use general fund savings, not his savings, to upfront that money, because he made a commitment to you guys during the budget process that he wouldn't use his savings. And the only reason we're doing it now, like we've been doing it early, is to save on the transaction fees, because if we did them as 2 separate transactions, it would cost us twice as much money. So all we're doing is we're gonna actually borrow the money officially probably the third quarter, but we're gonna go ahead and start to spend it now, because y'all are giving us this letter of intent that we're going to do that, and then we're gonna pay ourselves back from the bond money. And then the other thing, so that was number 1 point. The other thing that I wanted to point out to you guys is, unless you guys tell me otherwise, I'm assuming that I can go forward with doing the Amendment 78 bidding to the local banks for street, because that's in the budget as well, but we were gonna bring all of these back to you guys and make sure that you were still on board with doing that. If I need to bring you some sort of official document to do that, I can. Otherwise, I'll probably bring you the results after I bid it out. I'll run it 2 consecutive weekends in the newspaper and talk to all the local banks. I would bring it to you guys who we thought, you know, would get that, and at the March meeting. So does anybody have any question on those 2 points? And then also Jack's here, Cruz is here, if you guys have any specific questions about the bond verbiage or anything to do with that.
We're talking a little bit about when the clock starts, especially with the water tower. How
Okay.
that affects some of the timing that Tim wants.
Yes, and that's the other reason why we don't want to do it until the third quarter, is Tim's wanting to get all of his ducks in a row, because when we actually borrow the money is when the clock starts ticking. We get the money, and he does not want, not by the clock starting ticking, you know, I don't know how much you guys know about this, but we took way too long to spend our Bryant Parkway money, and we ran the risk of having some arbitrage issues. And I think I've told you guys several times, I was kind of sweating that. You know, it just looks bad. They want you to spend your bond money within 3 years. And so he wants to make sure, because building out the tower and all of that is a lengthy process. And so he wants to make sure he has that full 3 years. So he wants everything lined up before we actually have the clock start ticking. So that's the reason why, like I said, but he wants his equipment and his vehicles now. And so, you know, it's kind of a catch-22. It's like, okay, but we have the money in savings. This is once again one of those things where, you know, that's why I want us to have so much savings, so we can do things like this. Just like before, when the state took so long to give us our $3.5 million and we were able to weather that okay. My only concern is that we get everything, all of our ducks in a row, and everybody's paid back and everything by the end of the year, because I want it to look the best as possible in the audit report. So, does anybody have any questions on that?
That makes sense. This is water tower and water, wastewater
Yes, it's like,
equipment.
yes, it's about 1.5 water, 1.5 wastewater, and then 11.4, I think, for the tower. So that's the full.
This has a pipe also, is that right? Am I remembering that right?
It includes some distribution piping as part of the associated with the water tower, correct?
So it's all in one. We'll go ahead and start with the equipment. Third quarter, actually borrow the money. That way we're ready to roll on the water tower, but we don't want to wait that long for the equipment. But
And depending on the way the cash flows work, you guys may see our general fund drop down to the 120 or even below the 120, because, you know, we're like I said, if if it works out that I need to move the money around, we're gonna do that, but it's a temporary thing because we'll have that money. And if you read the bond documents, it specifically says we're allowed to do that. We can pay ourselves back from the bond money when we get the bond. So, anything else? Those were my two main points. And then is everybody okay with the street? It's in the budget book, I think it's 4 pieces of equipment. I don't remember the exact page, I'm gonna say like 83-ish, but y'all have that, it's in your budget book, it's at the bottom of the street page. And like I said, if you guys could talk it up to your local banks and everything, it'll be in the paper a couple of times in a row. I'll do like I did last time and send it to you guys.
I'm sorry, I'm like, where's this water tower gonna be located?
Good question.
I can answer that. We're still working on securing the property for the location. Because it's intended to serve the South Lane. Pardon?
You don't want to divulge that, but, north side of the interstate that sits over there.
No, the intent is that this will serve the South Plain, which is everything south of the railroad track,
Oh,
which
okay.
is Hill Farm and that general area, but it'll be in somewhere in close proximity to the existing water tower that's there near the high school.
Oh, cool, okay, thank you. Are we gonna put another morning on it?
Yes.
I think there's a good chance that we'll see another home run, yes.
Good.
They get name, image, and license.
All right, is there any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve. Have a motion,
Second.
and a second. Jordan, or is that Jack? Where's Jack? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Okay. Ashley?
This is under my name, but I think I'm really gonna have, Ron come up, if you don't mind.
Happy to.
You all know Ryan.
Good evening. How's everyone tonight? Good. You take it?
I'll let you take it, Ron, yes.
Okay. Well, the ordinance that you have before you calls an election for May the 13th. You'll recall that under our state law, you are now allowed to have special elections twice a year in May and November. And so the first special election in 2025 would be May the 13th. So this ordinance calls an election on May the 13th on 2 questions. And those 2 questions are in section 3, starting on page 2 and running on to page 3 of this ordinance. So 2 questions. The first question would be the issuance of bonds in a principal amount of not to exceed $14,720,000 for the purpose of refunding the city's outstanding 2016 bonds. The second question would be the issuance of bonds in the maximum principal amount of $33,285,000 for the purpose of financing the venue that you all discussed last week in your agenda meeting. The security for the bond issue would be a 1/2 cent sales and use tax. Assuming that the voters approve both questions, both the refunding and the new money, then there would not be a tax increase at the city. The 1/2 cent sales tax that's currently pledged to the 2016 bond issue would continue for the repayment of this bond issue. If the voters do not approve the refunding question, then you would not have the security for the bond issue, because the security would be that continuation of that 2016 tax. So for you to accomplish what you want, that is approve the financing of this new venue, you need the voters to approve both questions at the ballot box on May the 13th. So that's a very broad overview of this ordinance. Glad to answer any specific questions that you might have. Again, maximum principal amounts of bonds are contained in the ballot in the ordinance that you have before you. It does not mean that we will issue that amount we will issue the amount needed to refund the 2016 bonds and to finance the venue here in the city.
What if it's 2 no votes?
It's 2 no votes, status quo, we're gonna stay with this, yes. And if they don't approve the refunding, and they approve the improvements, nothing changes. You do not get your venue. You do not get your venue. So you need to approve both.
The law requires 2 votes, not
The
just
law,
one.
the law requires 2 votes, that is correct.
Independent vote.
Under our Constitution, separate purposes have to be voted separately, so therefore that's one of those 2 questions on the ballot. Good question.
Any other questions?
The ordinance has to be adopted by you all and filed with the county clerk at least 70 days in advance of May the 13th. So assuming that you pass the ordinance tonight, then the city would file the ordinance with the county clerk tomorrow to meet that 70-day requirement.
Just to be clear, this, Ron, I know the answer, I just was asked it publicly. We're just approving this for the, so the voters can decide a yea or nay.
That's correct.
So if we all vote yes, it's just saying people can vote and decide.
That's correct. You're passing on to voters for them to decide on May the 13th.
We're giving them the choice.
You're giving them the choice. Yes, sir.
Do we have an estimate on how much an election would cost?
I think we were 25,000 at the most, because it's not gonna be as expensive as the last one, because the turnout, you pay based on the turnout, so we wouldn't expect. I
But
think,
it is hard to know that, and I think we have 13,000 budgeted.
Yeah.
So, you know, but it'll probably be over 13, but not, I wouldn't hope much more than 20, 25.
And you can be reimbursed assuming the election is successful and the bonds are issued, then you can pay yourself back from proceeds of the bonds for those election costs.
and as you all know, we didn't spend the money for any architectural drawings, so this, we've been real careful to make sure that the only thing that, as far as risk goes at this point, to let the people choose, is paying for the election.
And you all may have talked about this last week, but this is the 3rd time that you've done the same thing. So it started with Bishop Park, then it was refunded in 2016. You did the same thing that you're asking the voters to do now, and so you're just asking them to do what you did back 9 years ago in 2016.
And Ron, I believe during the first bond issue, we actually repaid it at a more rapid pace than was anticipated. Is that correct?
That is correct. Right. Because keep in mind, the half-cent can only be used to pay debt service on the bond issue. So none of the tax collections are received by the city for any purpose other than to pay debt service on the bonds. And so as sales tax collections grow, as they have in Bryant for the past however many years, those surplus tax collections are used to prepay the bonds from the back end. So that's exactly right.
So that's one good thing about our growth being so substantial. It accelerates the repayment of the bond because there's more people buying stuff. Did I get it right, Joy? Okay.
Very good. That's the academic definition. People buying stuff.
I'll make a motion to, what do we do? First,
Suspend
second,
the
third?
rules.
Suspend the rules. Put on first, second, third reading by title only. Thank you, fellow board members.
Yes, so I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Okay, I believe that's a roll call vote.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
All right.
Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mosley,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Permitter,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Rodell,
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
This is an ordinance calling a special election on the city of Bryant, Arkansas on the question of issuing bonds under Amendment number 62 to the Constitution of the State of Arkansas for the purpose of financing and refinancing the cost of capital improvements, levying a 0.5% sales use tax for the sole purpose of retiring such bonds and prescribing other matters pertaining thereto.
Motion to approve. A motion to approve.
Second.
Second, Jordan. All right, roll call vote.
Mosley,
Yes.
O'Rourke,
Yes.
Rodell,
Yes.
Martin,
Yes.
Meyer,
Yes.
Burgess,
Yes.
Higginbotham.
Yes.
Motion passes. Maybe a motion to adopt an emergency clause.
There's actually not an emergency clause.
There's not? Thank you.
Not one needed.
Don't need that.
Don't need it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Sure you don't wanna buy a house in Bryant?
Yeah, it does.
See what happens on May the 13th.
Good answer. All right, the other, item there is the contract we've been working on between the city and the chamber. It has draft there, we wanted you to see this, I mentioned it in the workshop. I wanted to make sure it was on this agenda just so it could be public and people could see kind of what we're working through. Ashley and Ryan have spent a lot of time on this, have done a
Yes.
great job.
And this has actually changed so much within the last hour that, I hate it's even before you today, but I'm glad you got to see it and, had a chance to look at it. I've gotten great feedback from some of you on it, that we're working to add some of that feedback to it. So in the past hour, it has changed a lot due to feedback, I've received. But I have not shared that with the mayor and gone over that, so I didn't want to bring that to you today. But, we will be working closely in the upcoming days on this. I don't know if we want a workshop on this so that everybody can have a say on it, can see the more recent draft.
If you introduce it tonight, it's public record, isn't it?
I mean, I wanted that to be on the record. That
Yes,
this-
there is an ongoing,
Yeah, I mentioned it, and then I had questions about it, people hadn't seen it, and you had seen it, council had seen it, but the public hadn't. So I thought, well, let me just make sure everybody sees where we are, when this was published, the agenda was published. Okay.
it's just an ongoing working agreement. So it has changed a lot since this was sent out to everyone, just based on comments and stuff.
That's what we agreed to anyway, is just to continue to work that out.
Yes,
As we
absolutely.
have to provide anyway, so.
Mhm.
So our intention, if it's a workshop, whatever venue you would like to, if, you wanna sit down individually with Ashley, how do you wanna do that so that everybody feels comfortable and confident with the contract?
What's your time frame estimated on being able to complete it with that gentleman back there in the chamber?
I mean, the agreement cannot be entered into until after May. So, we would like to get something more concrete so that everyone's aware, I mean, way before May. But, the next month, if we could come up with something.
Why don't y'all just alert us, and we can decide whether it's close to council,
Right.
we wait, and if it's not, we'll schedule a workshop.
That's great. I think we can have something for you way before that month period then.
So we will get you something updated, you tell us how close we are. And if it's close to a council meeting, we'll put it on the agenda, and if not, we'll do a workshop. We still need time to process and work out the details.
Actually, if there's more changes that happen, can you like mark it up and send
Yes.
it so we know, we can see the changes on there?
Yes.
And like know what's been changed.
Yes.
Thank you, Ashley. Council comments. Tired, all right, but, I don't have any comments, thanks everybody for all the hard work you put into this, and, looking forward to seeing what the people of Bryant want to do.
Everybody will waive it, Shelley.
Everybody wave at Shelley. Motion to adjourn. Second, thank you, everybody.